Hello, everyone. Dr. Ames here. This time I'd like to talk about the statements in the self-awareness activity at the beginning of chapter 4. And they all revolve around what we think we know about prejudice. And these are generally true-false statements, and as we've seen already in the preceding chapters, the author doesn't exactly give you the answers outright. You have to read the text and the context of the material to figure out and also apply what you know from life experience, whether or not these are true or false. And of course, some might be a little bit of both. I do think this is one of the most important chapters in the course, sets the tone for everything we talk about because discrimination is the acting out and so forth of stereotypical thinking. And it really cuts across so many groups and different ways of life and things that touch on culture. Let's just start with these true false statements today. Um, we're just so exposed to prejudices in our society, and it's impossible to avoid the exposure. And we hear things in the mass media and so forth, and we soak it all up. So we do want to become culturally savvy. Um, as the author puts it, we have inherited a legacy of prejudice in America. But at the same time, we also have a legacy of believing in equality. And that is also part of our American experience. We just haven't lived up to that promise yet. So let's go through some of these and see what we think. Um, First of all, anthropologists generally agree that there are three major races: Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid. True or false? Unfortunately, many people think this is true, but it's absolutely false. That's the reason I started the course talking about how only 1/10 of 1% of our DNA accounts for our differences in physical appearance. And those sorts of things are based on separations of human populations far apart. The more differences you're going to have, the greater apart in time, the more differences you will have. Environment matters and all those things. And so if humans have developed as one race over time, um, in fact, if you've listened to that first video in chapter 1 from the Smithsonian, humans almost died out at one point in time. They estimate there were no more than 10,000 adult Homo sapiens in the world. But this notion of Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid races was something promulgated, particularly in the 17, 1800s, 1900s, by scientists primarily in North America and in Europe. And the idea was to prove that these other people who look different from us are inferior, and in fact, maybe they're not even human. And so they said that all people fall into these three general categories, and that there's a notion here that forms the basis of so much stereotypical thinking. So if you learn nothing else in this course, it's the fact there is only one race of humans. This is just completely not true. So whenever you hear people talk about it this way and say that it's true, you have to correct them. You have to correct them. Now, true or false? Most aspects of our culture teach us to appreciate others and not be prejudiced. What do you think? Is that true about American culture? Are we acculturated? Are we acclimatized to each other to appreciate differences, not to be prejudiced? Quite honestly, I think we are a little focused on ourselves and we do not get that training. I would hope that some of us do in our families, but most of the time, American culture is not teaching us to appreciate others. It's very much to appreciate ourselves, to focus on differences rather than commonalities, of course. So I think that most aspects of American culture do not teach us this. And so I think this one is false. True or false? People who believe in strict categories of right and wrong are unlikely to be prejudiced. Um, this is absolutely false. In fact, believing in strict categories of right or wrong is one of the traits of the authoritarian personality, which is the personality that is most prone to hold stereotypical thinking, to develop prejudicial feelings, and to act it out in discriminatory acts. And so this one is also particularly false. Number 4 here, prejudice beliefs are frequently hidden, not in awareness. This is very much true. You can't judge someone's culture or their worth or their values or beliefs just by looking at them. Observation won't do it. Most of what a person really is, what they were about, how they feel about the world, and what's important to them are in their minds. And that's not even in their awareness sometimes. Many people who hold prejudice about people do not even understand that they're acting out prejudicial beliefs. They're not even aware of it, that they're holding these sorts of things. They're sometimes surprised. So this one is true. These beliefs are frequently hidden. They're not in awareness. Number 5, the last one here, true or false? Prejudice beliefs cannot be changed, but discriminatory actions can. Um, well, this is false. People can change their prejudicial beliefs. It doesn't always happen. It's very difficult. Stereotypical thinking is part of the way the human mind stores and retrieves information. So prejudicial beliefs grow out of that process, and it's very difficult to change someone who's developed prejudicial beliefs. Discriminatory actions can also be changed. If people stop believing in prejudicial things, then the way they acted out, the discrimination will also disappear. Okay, folks, that's all I wanted to talk about this time. I'll talk to you again soon.